Our vocabulary word for today is rotation, and the notes is called rotations day 1, meaning there will be a day 2. Alright, so our first vocab word is rotation, and a rotation is a type of transformation in where the figure's turned about a certain point. This point is called the center of rotation. So looking at my picture, this point right here, that is the center of rotation. The figure in here was actually rotated 90 degrees. So the 90 degrees, that's the angle of rotation. And this figure was rotated to the left 90 degrees. Now instead of calling it to the left or to the right, there are two different ways that they rotate. We can either turn the object clockwise or counterclockwise. So let's refresh our memory. Which direction does a clock turn? All right, so a clock, which direction does a clock turn? The seconds hand is the one where you were going to see the most. This is the direction that a clock turns, the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. For counterclockwise, counter just means against. So going on the opposite direction. That would be counterclockwise. So rotations day 1. Let's do some examples. So I'd like you to rotate this figure 90 degrees clockwise from the origin. Remember, clockwise from the origin. So here's the origin. You're going to go 90 degrees that way. If this triangle is rotated, it will land in quadrant 1. Let me give you a trick. In order to rotate it clockwise from the origin, what I want you to do is grab your paper. I'm only going to grab this image, but I'd like you to grab your paper and rotate that 90 degrees clockwise. When you do, your graph is going to look like this. On the side, I'd like you to pretend that this is your new x-axis and this is your new y-axis. Just ignore the fact that these are negatives. If this is the new x-axis and y-axis, what are those points on the triangle? So on the side, I'd like you to write down the coordinates of those, pretending that this is the new x and this is the new y. Starting with just this point, this looks like it's 1, 2. The second one looks like 3, 3. And the other one's 2, 4. Now that you have that, you've written those points down on the side, I'd like you to take your image, bring it back to the original position. Ignore now, this is now of course your y-axis, and this is your x-axis. What I want you to do is go through these points and graph them. 1, 2, 3, 3, and 2, 4. There you go. You have rotated the figure 90 degrees clockwise. Now, of course, on homework and all other assignments, they will be labeled points A, B, and C. And then, of course, label it A prime, B prime, and C prime. Okay? Okay, so example 2, I want you to rotate this 90 degrees counterclockwise from the origin. I forgot my little degree symbols. Too small to draw. So what I'd like you to do is take your paper and you're going to rotate it counterclockwise. Counter means you're moving it this way. That's counterclockwise. Take your object And 1 turn is 90. If I were to do 2, that would have been 180. So just 1 turn is 90 degrees. Easiest way for you to tell is each angle here in my 2 lines, that's 90. There's another 90, 90, and another 90. Okay? So if I rotate it 90 degrees on the side of your paper, write down the points. Point A, since this is now my new X, and that's my Y, point A looks like it's at -1, -3. B looks like it's at -1, -5. C is -2, -5. And D is at -2, -3. Now that you've written down your points, take your object, turn it back. Unfortunately, my points also got turned. But that's okay. Just to the best of your abilities, just read sideways and graph those points. All right, so graphing point A. A is at -1, -3, so that's my I prime. B is -1, -5. Sorry, I'm adding another number on here, so I'm adding a 5. So here is my new B prime. C is at -2, -5, so this is my C prime, and D is right up here. So there you have it. It's been rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. Third problem. Rotate 180 degrees from the origin. I didn't tell you if it was counterclockwise or clockwise. Here's why. In your picture, you're starting down here. If you were to go clockwise, you would go 90 degrees and then another one, and that would be 180, putting you in the first quadrant. If you were to go counterclockwise, you would still start at the same spot, go 90 degrees, 180 degrees. It still puts you in the first quadrant. 180 degrees does not matter if you're going to turn counter or clockwise. Doesn't matter the direction. Okay? Knowing that, let's take our problem and we're going to rotate it. So it doesn't matter if you're going to rotate it to the right or to the left. 180 is still 180 no matter what. On the side, always remember what your new points are. So A, ignoring the negatives, is 5, 2. B is 2, 5. And C is 2, 2. Take your image, flip your paper. Wait, not that. Flip your paper. Wait. Ah, there. Having problems. Graph those points that you wrote down. 5, 2. That is now my A prime. Technically, these are your primes. B is at 2, 5. And C prime is at 2, 2. Connect. And there you have your rotation.